Okay, so thank you very much, PPC. And let me first apologize for the slight delay in starting the program.
Because
as
now,
you know, we are still
a lot
in
of
transition. This is a new framework that we have
avoid
to
these
hold
numbers,
the MPC briefing immediately after the decision is made by
stadium. Make we reduce the number of contacts and cards from the game.
Referees. Referees. If you check, I've not checked, but if you make some research to check that yellow card, most of the yellow cards is for their away team.
Yeah.
It's for their away.
To evaluate recent economic developments and assess risks to the outlook for inflation and growth. And this briefing summarizes the key discussions and the committee's decision on the monetary policy stance. Contrary to earlier projections of a global economic slowdown,
the way they raise officiating issues here. The first game for the league, red card happened for inside. You the few say the referee they make them do how would they call them? Cooper test or they do Cooper test. You know, they do them. Them sit them for classroom, then teach their hands for pam. I mean,
the IMF revised its global growth projections for 2025 to 3.0%,
how many percentage you
compared with earlier forecasts of 2.8%.
So that one they are thinking about like
this notwithstanding, geopolitical uncertainties relatively
officiating is that most times they are officiating their calls to be based on the reactions of the home team. If the fans are shouting and insulting the referee, that's when they take action. Sometimes they are being influenced by the crowd, not their own decision. So that is what I know. This isn't there for
in addition, global financing conditions have eased somewhat, supported by declining policy rates, lower long-term bond yields, and a strong rebound in portfolio flows to emerging markets and developing economies.
Fantastic.
Also, current global conditions and uncertainties have led to a strong rebound in gold prices,
with positive implications for Ghana's external sector position. Now, on the domestic front, the economy continues to demonstrate strong growth, driven largely by the services
and of course, all the day one player in mind we say, we for score. They allow, they see the smoothness of the game. Hence, conceding such goals.
We get 7 goals for first half. Let me tell you something. 3 goals come from one match. The BBN goals starts in the United match. 3 goals come from there.
Agriculture sector oil, GDP grew at a much faster pace by 7.8% relative to 5.7% over the same comparative period. The services sector grew by 9.9%, while the agriculture sector expanded by 5.2%. The high-frequency indicators
to sustain momentum in economic activity. The Composite Index of Economic Activity, or what we call the CIEA, recorded an annual growth of 6.1% in July 2025 compared to 1.9% in July 2024 on the back of international trade activities, consumption, and industrial.
Because the FA pull up Stone Boy.
Yeah,
but
at the end of the day,
can perform
9 games, 11 goals will come inside. How? 9 games, 11 goals.
Some way.
Nah, it be some way. But those 9 games, you get 36 yellow cards. That be average of 4. If you do breakdown, 4 per game.
This is a bit too much.
Production. The latest confidence surveys that as firms met their short-term targets and express optimism about company and industry prospects. Similarly, Ghana's Purchasing Managers Index, or the PMI, went up in August, signaling increase in new orders as business conditions improved.
plenty.
Now inflation continues to ease and has been broad-based. Headline inflation declined further to 11.5% in August 2025, down from 12.1% in July. The lowest reading in 4 years. The sustained decline in inflation for 8 consecutive months was largely driven by,
especially offensively, because the numbers we see over the past 6 years are no good. This year will be something different, because this year the coaching credentials will be rich. So we will see for the pitch top.
Let's round of matches for the Ghana Premier League. Match day 2. 2025-2026
combination of
Ghana,
factors,
Premier,
including the prudent municipal easing of underlying inflationary pressures.
Friday because of the
similarly, inflation expectations among consumers, among businesses, and the banking sector all eased, affirming the disinflation process going forward.
Very, very good game.
On interest rates,
interest rates are declining on the money market in response to the recent cut in the monetary policy rate.
11 wonders.
Yields on the money market instruments have declined significantly, and the average lending rates are gradually easing, which should lower the cost of credit in the near term. The interest equivalent of the 91-day Treasury bill instrument eased from 13.4%
at the end of July 2025 to 10.3% at the end of August 2025. The average lending rate over the same period went down from 26.6% to 24.2%. Now, fiscal policy implementation in the year to July 2025 reflected strong consolidation efforts underpinned by tight expenditure controls, although revenues fell short of target. Consequently, the overall fiscal deficit on commitment basis was 1.1% of GDP, outperforming the target deficit of 2.1% of GDP. Also, the fiscal anchor, and that is the primary balance on commitment basis, recorded a surplus of 1.0% of GDP, reflecting a better outturn than the targeted surplus of 0.5% of GDP. The deficit was largely financed from domestic sources. At end July 2025, the total public debt.
If we win, then go win. Then for win. But the grounds they in the play be like we are home away from home.
So neutral sort of.
So it be somebody they not really get fan base, we go help them. So you go win now. It be from the place what you go do.
Okay.
So make them do whatever they go do right. Make them do well, say they don't concede penalty. Because somebody they out of Lions, if you give them 20, you go score 20.
Stood at 40. Asset quality and efficiency indicators. The industry's capital adequacy ratio, or the CAR, without regulatory reliefs, increased to 17.7.
The Diana Stars Nations FC, Dreams FC, Accra House of Folk, Asante Kotoko Gold Stars. Wow.
They postponed. Yeah. Because of
the CAF competition.
Go play for CAF Confed Cup. We go stars to go play for CAF Champions League. Both go happen for Accra.
Then postpone them.
So Saturday be the Gold Stars game.
Then 10% in August 2025 from 10.2% in August. This notwithstanding, elevated credit risk remains a major concern going forward. And in the outlook, adherence to the recapitalization plans and full implementation of the bank's regulatory guidelines to lower NPLs will further enhance resilience of the banking sector.
Or if you want the entire fixture list.
Now, on the external sector, the sector strengthened in the first 8 months of 2025 with a significant trade surplus of $6.2 billion compared to $2.1 billion, which was recorded during the same period in 2024. This was driven by a sharp increase in exports earnings mainly gold and cocoa,
so that one they be
which far-outpaced import growth. The reserve position remains strong with our gross international reserves at $10.7 billion US dollars. That is equivalent to 4.5 months of import cover as at end August 2025, compared with $8.98 billion,
you
which was
very much
equivalent to 4.0 months of import cover as at end December 2024.
Clinton.
In the outlook, the external sector is projected to broadly remain resilient, anchored on favorable commodity prices and improvements in remittance inflows. Now, on the back of the strong external sector performance and increased reserve accumulation, the cedi strengthened against the major trading currencies in the year to July 2025. Subsequently, the cedi came under some demand pressure, bringing the cumulative appreciation through 12th of September 2025 to 21.0% against the US dollar. And let me point out that the cedi remains among the strongest currencies globally year to date. And this reflects prudent monetary policy, effective liquidity management, fiscal consolidation, and increased foreign exchange inflows. So given the current state of macroeconomic conditions, the view of the committee was that inflation will continue to ease in the near term. And in the outlook, headline inflation is expected to drop to within the medium-term target of 8 plus or minus 2% by the end of the fourth quarter. However, the possible upward review of utility tariffs could exert some price pressures in the medium term. Notwithstanding this, maintenance of an appropriate monetary policy stance.
The demand that we know last reasons, nobody the same demand.
Since calm down now. I carry some player go there. The point intimidates the referee. The referee on the pitch of play. This is they did a match against Dwarfs. Where something happened where the player didn't try rather give
to lower the monetary policy rate by 350 basis points to 21.5%. The committee will continue to monitor macroeconomic developments and take appropriate policy decisions as and when necessary to reinforce the disinflation process. Now, let me also announce an additional measure on the net open position limits for banks. The decision has been made for the single currency NOP limit, which has been plus and minus 5%. This has been revised to between 0%.
Whichever country where you know, Channel 1 TV for day on your card. Every day on this special day, we they bring you straight up discussions in the Ghana Premier League. When I first for Nigeria, I know say you started to do some Ghanaian analysis now. I know say they love the show because he did in PG. You go understand. Earlier we raised a little, Clinton to on the line on Zoom. Make you also share the thoughts with us. Thanks to the guys behind the scenes. They make the show a solid one. My name is Bernard
minus 10%,
we'll catch you same
which
time
will be effective from the 1st of, and that meeting, as always, will conclude on 19th November 2025 with the announcement of a new policy decision. I thank you for your attention.
Right. Thank you very much, Governor Johnson Pandetisiama. If you just tuned in, this is a live broadcast of the 126th MPC press briefing taking place live here at the headquarters of the Bank of Ghana. This is the Bank Square. Just to remind you also that we're streaming live on Northern Reports, on Ghana Web, on Graphic, on GNA, the Business and Financial Times. Also, at the Bank of Ghana itself, we are streaming live on the Facebook page, our website, as well as the Bank of Ghana YouTube page. Mr. Governor, with your permission, let me quickly acknowledge the presence of our advisors who are here with us this afternoon. Mr. Franklin Belnier is an advisor here with us. Welcome, sir. Dr. John Kwache, please welcome him, ladies and gentlemen. Professor John Gachi, also an advisor and Dr. Frank, both Texan. They are here with us this afternoon. Also, let me acknowledge the presence of the bank secretary, Ms. Sandra Thompson, and then also the head of banking supervision, Ishmael Adams. So we've got to make this very snappy. I must indicate that it's been a very long day for the members of the Monetary Policy Committee. So we're just going to do 2 rounds of questions, please. 2 rounds of questions.
Here's Mr.
And
Franz.
so just let me see your hands up.
Well?
I will acknowledge you.
I'm fine. How about you?
Governor, how many questions should I take per round?
We're in the thick of it.
5 questions. Okay, so 10 questions in total. So we're going to do the first round. Toma, I see you.
Also of Haitian origin, is seeing more and more migrants from her community coming to Canada.
Good afternoon, this is the men's level.
Good afternoon.
They stay here for a few days during the 1 to 3 month transition. There are about 30 people here.
What is the bank's stand
Is it okay? Can I come
on
in?
regulatory forbearance, which is for commercial banks, which was due to
This is a
expire at
room
the
for
end
4
of this
men.
year?
Some have left.
Because
It's a little more cramped.
I understand some
But it's
state
something.
banks are due to be recapitalized
Look
next
at the
year.
Haitian flag.
And
Because
one
they're
or
here
two
now.
commercial banks
Most of
I
them
know
are asylum
have some
seekers.
issues.
They all say that
Concerning
Canada is a country
capital
that
adequacy.
welcomes just about everyone.
So, although is the Bank of
Canada's
Canada going to
long-standing
extend
reputation as a nation
regulatory
welcoming to
forbearance
migrants is now
accommodate them into
shifting.
next year
The country has
or not?
significantly tightened its migration policy, with Haitians fleeing
Thank you,
Donald
Toma.
Trump's
Thank
crackdown
you,
across the
Toma.
border, paying the price.
Yes, Bloomberg?
It's very important to understand that what I do is volunteer work, what we call unpaid representation. So there are certain things I can do that a lawyer can't do. Among other things, the discussions we're going to have.
This father arrived alone from the US 3 days ago. He was there under the temporary protected status granted to Haitians after the 2010 earthquake in the country.
Noticed,
Did you receive a letter or a notice saying that your TPS had expired?
Yes, my permit. They gave me this for August 3rd.
Okay, it's expired.
The non-interest based.
According to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, there are roughly 350,000 Haitians in the U.S. under temporary protected status. The White House wants them to return to Haiti, even though the island is considered extremely unsafe, even on the U.S. government's own scale of insecurity.
Fourth quarter.
The pressure is so
Okay,
enormous.
thank you. 2 more
I can't
questions
take
for
it.
this round. 2 final
ICE is
questions.
everywhere.
All right, good
And I used to
afternoon.
live
My name
in
is
Florida.
Morris
You know what
Okwete.
Florida
I work
is
at
like.
GTV.
Yeah.
So recently,
It's not good.
the
I'm
president
afraid of
said
that because
the city is
since I
being
was a
allowed
child, I've
to
never
find
experienced this
its
kind of
true
pressure
value.
or been handcuffed.
So we've seen
Anyway, happy to help. Welcome to
intervention.
Canada.
Well,
I just
thank
want
you
to know,
anyway.
Is it a
For
common
most Haitians, Canada
approach
is no
between the
longer
fiscal
an
side
option.
and the
According to a
monetary
safe
side?
third country
Also,
agreement
we
Ottawa
still
signed
hear
with Washington,
businesses
unless they
complain
already
that
have a
they do
family
not
member
get,
in Canada, an asylum seeker will
dollars from the
automatically be
banks.
sent back to the
They
U.S.
get so
Donald Trump is finally fulfilling his campaign promise to deport more than 11 million people en masse. And when it comes to the Haitian community, some people have been hiding in their homes since April 2024. In many cases, their only option is to come to Canada. But the exceptions have been tightened since March 2023. It's no longer an asylum program. It's a family reunification program. So those who arrive at the border and are not eligible then try to enter illegally through the back door.
that had been realized.
Despite a 45% drop in asylum applications year over year in 2025, this border crossing in southern Quebec is seeing twice its usual activity, with Haitian migrants making up the biggest diaspora. But under the agreement with Washington, 2,700 of them have been sent back to the U.S. since January.
Thank you very much. That ends our first
The
round of
crackdown
questions,
doesn't
Mr.
stop
Governor.
there. In 1 year, Ottawa
let
and
me
its
start with
partner
the last
provinces
one
have
first.
reduced, suspended or
Mr. Adobwe.
cancelled several
Yes,
major immigration
His
programs
Excellency said
and
it
lowered
clearly.
immigration quotas until
And he also
2027.
made it clear that the investigations were ongoing. There's a committee that is working on
Toronto
that.
is Canada's
I
largest
don't have
city.
to preempt their work. When they are done, I'm sure the Minister of Finance will communicate the details to the public, and then we'll know what happens thereafter. So for now, spare me the trouble.
Sultana Jahangir arrived from Bangladesh in 2005.
Then Morris, you were asking about the CD being allowed to find its true value.
Well, there is some families, immigrant women, those who are skilled worker, the doctor, the engineer, waiting almost 2 to 3 years right now to getting job. Not only their professional field, also in the survival job. It's very hard. Retail sector, fast food sector, lost job a lot.
Based in Scarborough, a working-class suburb of Toronto, she runs a support and guidance program for women from South Asia, where most of the immigrants here come from.
Without necessarily losing reserves to try to contain it. The managed floating framework is still in place, and that is what we are using. It doesn't change at all. And so, yes, the CD will fluctuate. It will change by the minute. It will change by the moment.
As in Montreal and Vancouver, the housing occupancy rate
in reaction to a number of variables. It may be short-term, it may be medium-term, it may be long-term. Several variables drive movements in the CD. We've always said it, that our objective is to ensure we don't have excessive volatility in the CD. But yes, you will see movement in the CD, all right, just that we don't want to see it excessively. So yes, the president put it right, that the CD will find its true value. Then you mentioned, Maurice, that businesses were complaining that they cannot get dollars. I'm not sure if that is true. As of yesterday, I don't think there was a single demand for dollars from the banks that was not met. The head of financial markets is here, can confirm. We've been doing this for a number of weeks. And so I'm not sure. I don't think as of today anybody out there will say that their bank is unable to secure financing for their imports. As we always say, it may be due to some documentation issues or other related issues, but we have to take them on case-by-case basis. We support the markets. The banks themselves also trade among themselves. And through all those channels, we are able to fund
in order to obtain permanent residence after graduation.
And that's what I can say about
As a result, tens of thousands of students who come to live in Canada had to leave.
In reserves.
Their education, their experience has to be recognized in
So first of all, you have to put it into context.
All life saving to come in Canada. So now if we are creating in a way that we do not need you, go back to your country, but they already lost their all, finance, everything. So going back to their own country is not possible for them.
Back at her office, Sultana is holding her weekly workshop.
A lot of accumulation. But also remember what we have done in the last 3 months. A number of lumpy payments to IPPs, bondholders, sovereign bondholders, that got their money out. These were legitimate, payments that we have to make. And so don't be surprised if you see some dip. But what is important is that the trend is upward. You just have to plot it and look upward. The trend is upward. So don't be bothered at all. Look at it in context. Don't just look at the last 3 months and then get alarmed. Somebody asked about non-interest banking. Yes, Professor Gachi is here. He's been doing an excellent job at it. We've done a lot of sensitization. They are almost to the end. I believe something is going to Parliament, and then thereafter we can get to the implementation phase.
They're doing this all legally.
Whether we can see licensing of these by the end of the year, we are doing our best. Let's see what happens. As you are aware, Parliament is on recess, I guess. And so when they come back later in October or so, we'll take them and see how far we can go with that. But the commitment remains the same. We are pushing ahead with that effort.
Asian communities are particularly targeted and are the subject of widely shared campaigns on social
regulatory forbearance that, as you mentioned, we give them up to December 2025 this year. We are not there yet. And so when we get to December, we'll reassess, the whole framework. And
that has been coupled by a flip in public opinion. In 2019, more than 9 out of 10 Canadians considered immigration to be good for the country, placing Canada at the top of the 145 nations surveyed by Gallup. 5 years later, however, nearly 60% believe immigration is too high, with 4 out of 10 people believing there are too many ethnic minorities, a first in over 25 years.
Governor. My name is George Rafi from Joy FM Journalist. Governor, if I look at your economic data, they are quite strong, your reserve position.
By both the Liberal government.
Why is the market not responding to this solid data? And again, I just want to find out from you that if you look at what has happened over the past 3 months, would you describe it as seasonal or a correction taking place in terms of the city's performance? Because with all these numbers, the market should be responding to it. Also, again, even in your recent data or your speech you read in the MPC, you talked about. Thank you.
Okay. George, that was a smart one. You did 3 in 1. I'll go to Mustafa.
Good afternoon, Governor. My name is Suleiman Mustafa. Graphic business. Governor, can you please update us on where we are with the launch of the regulatory framework for the virtual assets? Thank you.
Mustafa, you're done? Yes, I'm done. Okay. Okay, let me take you.
Hi, good afternoon. Aloya Krasema for Asasi Radio. Mr. Governor, so last month, the central bank issued a notice to banks asking them not to supply forex to large corporations until they meet a certain deposit rule. I would like to know whether this is a temporary crisis management tool or it is a
long-term.
Did the committee take into account the stability of the city into this decision? We've seen slight volatilities in the currency recently, and even some analysts said the last decision contributed to it. So I would like to know to what extent, did you take into account the stability of the currency going forward into this decision? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to do 2 final questions, just 2 final questions. Do we have a lady? Yeah, that's just one lady. You're all gentlemen. If I got another lady, I'll be excited about it. No more lady? Oh, that's fine. Okay, let me go to the gentleman of yeah, fine.
My name is Emmanuel Bruce from Reuters. Inflation for August was 11.5%. I want to find out what does this mean for your outlook for the year, considering that it's lower than your end year target of 11.9%.
Going to the inflows that is out of the way. We know that from the beginning of the year, it fluctuates. But to attribute it to maybe the city's performance, I'm not sure, per your reading of the data, whether there is anything strange with the inflows you are getting from remittances. I just need that clarity. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mustafa wanted to lure me with a final question, but I'm afraid we've got to go. Mr. Governor.
We can take maybe another round. Don't worry.
Okay, the governor is too kind. He says we can go for another round.
Yeah.
But that is after he's answered these questions. Thank you.
Yes. So again, the last one first, High Street Journal, about remittances. Well, the banks have, they have confirmed that they've observed a decline, in terms of remittance inflows. And so, yes, the evidence is there. Formerly, they were getting more of these inflows, which they were using to support imports. And so earlier in the year, there was quite, a substantial amount of interbank trading. And when that happens, the central bank wouldn't have to support the market that much. Suddenly, the flows have reduced. And so, yes, the evidence is there. But we are working on it. Remember, we introduced a number of measures about a month or so ago. We are beginning to see the dividends from those measures that we have announced. We are beginning to see some of the IMTOs, beginning to, reroute those flows back into the country. And our desire is to see greater levels of interbank market appreciation of the CD may have played a role. Yes, it could have. Yes, it could have. But what's important is that we've taken a number of measures to bring back those flows into the economy. Then the end-year inflation target, yes, we are confident, barring any new shocks, that end-year inflation will certainly fall within the target band. Whether we are revising the end-year target, no, that decision hasn't been taken as yet. What is important is that we achieve that medium-term, target, and then we are able to stay within that target. So we haven't revised the end-year figure for inflation. Then the next question was on the stability of the CD, whether this was considered, by the MPC in reaching this decision. Yes, very much so. If you read the statement, we spoke about, strong was kept appropriate. And so we did not see the negative impacts you would want to see in terms of liquidity injection, etc. That same effort is going to be deployed, even with this decision. And so stability of the CD shouldn't be a problem, regardless of the decision that we have made. Remember that also that the cocoa season is just kicking off. And so we envisage inflows of cocoa. We are beginning to see a pickup in gold exports. And so a combination of these will certainly come in and help to keep the CD stable. Then, Nana from Asasi Radio, you were asking about those FX measures that was announced to suspend FX withdrawals by the large corporates. For now, it is a permanent measure. We observed that there were certain practices where some of these large corporates who really do not need FX cash, locally, were withdrawing such sums, and then those sums were ending up, elsewhere. And so we met with the banks. I mean, these things are done upon consultations. We met with the banks, we discussed it, and we came to the conclusion that for the large corporates, we can suspend those direct withdrawals. However, if it is FX that they deposited themselves, cash, into those accounts, it's their own money. So they are entitled to it without charge. Then the virtual assets bill. Suleiman, you asked about it. Yes, we've done a lot of work on the bill. The bill is ready. It's now at the Attorney General's department. on course with that. Now, the gold hedging program, the head of financial markets department is here. We are on course with that as well. You know, these things take a lot of discussions. You have to look at a number of calibrations. We've gone through all that. We are in the final stages now, and I'm sure very, very soon that risk management tool will be finalized. Then, again, George, you were asking why the markets are not responding to the data that we have. That's my point, exactly the point I always make. We released, the data yesterday, and you could see where the economy is. If you look at our reserves, like I said, look at the data over the last 7 years. Don't just look at, the last 7 months, and then, you go into a frenzy. Look at the data over the last 7 years. You could see clearly that even if you look at it over the past 1 year, the trend is upward. So if you see a little blip, it doesn't mean things are getting out of hand. The trend is still upward. And as I've mentioned, we are entering the cocoa season. Gold is picking up, remittances. Because of the Forex measures, the measures that we have announced, we are beginning to see a return of those inflows. So yes, we'll build up our reserves of interbank, Forex interbank market trading. And so all those measures are very much intended to contain the pressure on the cedi, notwithstanding the fact that we lowered the policy rate. So I encourage all of you, the media, please make use of our data. That should inform you on what is happening in the economy, whether there should be a pressure on the cedi. If you ask me, there's really no reason why anybody, should be anxious about the cedi. Like I said, as of yesterday, every import demand that any of the 23 banks, submitted to us as of yesterday was met. And we'll be meeting this for a number of weeks now. So where is the anxiety coming from? We have enough reserves to support whatever imports that are coming up in the fourth quarter, Christmas season imports, you name it. We have our projected, cash flow table. We figured everything out in our cash flow table, and we have the reserves covered to keep these. So there shouldn't be any anxiety at all about the exchange rate going forward. Now, I think that is the last one. We can take one more session before we go.
All right. So if you just tuned in from wherever you are, this is the 126th MPC press briefing taking place at the Bank Square. We are streaming live on Facebook, the Bank of Ghana Facebook page, on the Bank of Ghana website as well as our YouTube 50 basis points to 21.5%. So we'll take a very final round of questions. Mustafa, you wanted to do a follow-up?
No, I was going to ask about offshore inflows and the rationale behind the 5% charge on forex withdrawals, but I think he has answered it.
He's answered that. Yes. Okay. My senior, Duguna, let me take a question from you.
Thank you very much, Governor. I think recently some 9 institutions were sanctioned for what you described as multiple violations of inward remittance guidelines. For those of us in the media, people kept asking us, what exactly did they do? Because if we say they broke these guidelines, what did they do to break the guidelines? Because people keep asking us and we don't have answers for them. So if you can throw a bit of light on exactly what they did. In fact, some even industry players came to us asking, what did they, like, what did they do? How do we know that if we did the same thing, it's not wrong or it's right? That kind of thing. So if you can throw light on it for us, we'll be very.
I think your question is well noted. Thank you, Mr. Deuna. Yeah, I've got another female here. Tell us which media house you represent.
So the name is Naja Biago. I'm with GBC. Governor, they said they can only give him $1,000, and he says he needs the money in dollars. So they said they are going to give him the city equivalent. And in fact, he was so furious that in as much as we are trying to stabilize the economy and make sure the dollars go through the right channels, some of these things should be looked at. I want to know what the situation is and what we should expect. Again, with regards to the documentation, when traders would have to import goods into the country, there are others who are saying they go to the black market because the sort of documentation required at the banks are so difficult for them to. Is there a way that the central bank can communicate with the trader groups, is some sort of education?
Is there anybody who's not asked a question? Okay, the gentleman there.
Kisla, sorry, Ghanaian time. So I want to find out from the governor, apart from the upcoming tariff adjustments, what are the other risks as a BOJ find, and how are you collaborating with the fiscal authorities to address them to ensure the stability of the city?
Come again. I'm not sure. I didn't get that.
I'm saying, apart from the upcoming utility adjustment, what other risk has the BOG identified which could affect the stability of the city, and what are you doing with the fiscal authorities to address those risks?
That's fine. Two final questions. Yes, I see all two of you that you haven't asked a question, so yeah, go ahead.
Governor, good afternoon. My name is Joshua with the Business and Financial Times. So listening to you with regards to the issue of data and the CD, it seems that there's an issue with regards to speculation on the market, which seems to be driving the CD where it is as it stands now. Is there any measure that the bank sees in dealing with this speculation on the market? All right, thank you.
Two final questions.
All right, so my name is Adnan Adams, and in terms of the price.
Which media house do you represent?
Economy Times.
Okay.
In terms of regulating or the ban on pricing and trading in dollars, just want to know how effective is the enforcement of the bank, and then also.
I think that this is a one line before I ask my question. This craze about holding the FX and the pride that people attach to it, and if you juxtapose that with the forex bureaus who actually handle. Do you see whether Cocoa Board has been able to pay some of its deferred contract, especially the one that was done for the 2023-24? There was some reportage, but I want to get the accurate data from you. Help me, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Governor, I don't know where you want to start from, but Dawuna was asking about the remittance guideline sanctions. You recently sanctioned a few remittance companies, and he was asking, he wanted better and further particulars on that.
On the breaches, etc. The breaches were quite several. Diversion of foreign exchange inflows, and I mentioned that. You know, when you take money, those dollars and pounds from our diaspora people, those monies are supposed to find their ways into the nostril balances of our banks. You know, banks operating here in Ghana, so that those flows end up within the system. But we observed that some of them were doing what we call offshoring, when using it for other purposes. And so those found have been sanctioned. Others were also applying the wrong exchange rate, right? And those were breaching the rules, so they had to be sanctioned. There were others that also had settlements when it comes to every market and how it operates. Their licenses were issued to them on condition that they meet those very rules. And so when they breach them, all we have to do is to penalize them so that we bring them to order. And we think that so far, the measures we have announced is biting. We are coming up with some more.